Hi there, my name's Amber, I use she, her pronouns, and this video is going to showcase a few modules that I use to make running draw steel inside of FoundryVTT easier. It's going to include conditions, squad rings, minion health pools, malice and hero tokens, and custom initiative. It's going to be pretty quick and dirty. It's not a comprehensive Foundry guide in any way, so I'm not going to go over any scene construction, token construction, or installing the modules themselves. I'm using Custom System Builder version 4.3.2 inside of Foundry version 12 stable build 331, and everything seems to be working fine on this. The sheets for this were provided by Haizan in the MCDM Discord, however I have modified them since then. The main thing that has changed is the layout, but I have also added a treasure section and added treasure items as well, which you can put into chat. If you want to use my custom sheet, I'll put it in the description. However, you'll need to open up the hero sheet template once you get it, and as well as doing the steps that Haizan has in his guide for setting this sheet up, you will also need to do the treasure tables inside of the treasure tab by going to the treasure tab and clicking on the item displayers and selecting treasure_temp on each of them. Clicking save, and then you can reload all the character sheets. Once you've done that, we can get started. So, to begin with, the main frustration that I came across first was there was no real easy way to designate squads easily. So, the way I've ended up doing that is I'm using a module called Token Aura Ring, and I've made a bunch of ring presets which I can place on my squads. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an extra squad to this encounter because I'm mean and I'm going to murder my players. So we're going to add another group of Wardog conscripts and a Wardog sub-commander. So let's add those from the side. What we do is we add one sub-commander. This is number 5, I don't know why. He should only be number 3, so we're going to go and fix that by going to the settings, changing that to 3. And we're going to go and add a Wardog conscript. That's number 19. Again, that's obviously too high. So we're going to go and add that back down to 3. That's likely because of the amount that I've got on the scene. Ideally, you build your encounter before you open up placing all your tokens down. And you can build something like that inside of Stall, which is stawl.app, or you can also build it inside of Forge Steel. Now, once we've placed down our Wardog Subcommander and Conscript here, which are going to be squad number 3, what we want to do is we want to begin setting up their token rings. So we're going to right-click on them, and we're going to go to the Open Configuration and click Configure Token Aura Rings. In here, we can add an Aura Ring, and we're going to name it Squad and whatever color it'll be. Let's go for orange here. I'm going to call it Squad Orange 2 because I already have one. So, we've got Squad Orange 2 here, and what we want to make sure that it has enabled is the radius needs to be set down to 0.04, and then the stroke weight in pixels needs to be set to 10, just to make sure that it fully fills that space. Once we've done that, you can see it highlights it with a nice ring around the outside. So, once we've done that, we can save it to our directory, and if we open the directory, we're going to see all of the ones that we've made. So I've got one that's blue, green, lavender, navy, orange, pink, purple, red, turquoise, yellow, the works. Obviously, it seems that Squad Orange 2 I didn't actually make orange, but in stroke color, that's where you set the color. Once we're done here, we can close out of it by clicking Save Changes, and we can update the token, and you can see it's now got a red ring around him. We're going to get rid of this ring by going back into it, going to Delete Aura Ring, and we're going to make it actually orange by clicking Open Directory and clicking Squad Orange. And we'll get rid of this new Aura Ring that we don't need. So once we've enabled that, we've got an orange ring around our conscript here. What we can actually do is we can stay inside of this menu, and we can open this directory and leave this open. We close out of this one, we leave the directory over at the side, and we update the token. No, you're not meant to be red. Why did you do that? Ah, because I wanted to be that one. So we're going to get rid of that aura ring. Not add a new one like that. We're going to open the directory. We're going to select orange. And we're going to save those changes and then update that token. And there we go. Now it's orange. Now we want our sub-commander to also be orange. So we want to just click on him. And we can find War Dog Sub-Commander 3 in the list. Here he is. And then we can just click Squad Orange. And now he's orange. So, now that we've done that, we can copy this and we can paste it 8 times. And now we've got a full squad of 8 conscripts and a sub-commander to be their captain. So, that's all well and good. But another issue with tokens or minions in Draw Steel is that they have a combined health pool. And that's not very easy to track. So we're going to be using another module called Bar Brawl, and that will enable us to make custom bars which we can use to track the health pools. Now, we're going to do that off to the side of the screen, and we're going to do it over here. You can see I've already set them up for the other squads. But they're going to give us notched health bars that will show us how many of those minion groups are alive, but when we modify the health bars in the right-click menu, it will be the actual total health pool. So let's do that for our orange squad down here. We're going to copy this sub-commander and a conscript with him. No, let's not turn them. Let's leave them as they are. We're going to dump them over here. And the way I like to lay it out is I leave the minion in the front, and I hold shift as I move this guy, and I put it a little bit behind. Put that there. So now we've got those two layered like that. Alright. So, if we go into the War Dog conscript here, and we go to the token, or we can go there by right-click the cog, what we want to do is we want to enable the Resources tab. I want to click Add Resource. In here, we're going to go to the attribute, and we're going to change the attribute to Stamina Current. And we're going to scroll down a little bit and click Advanced Configuration, and go to the Approximation section. Now, we need to count how many minions are in our squad. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we want to have the approximation value be 8. And we want to make sure it's also toggled on for the owner so that we can see that bar. So, now it says 8, which is really useful, but it's still got 4 HP. So we're just going to update that token, and we're going to go into it. Now this token is obviously, as it's a minion and as it's a monster, it's decoupled from the master ones, unlike character sheets, where these are linked between them. If we open this and we modify a value in there, obviously it's going to update down there. That's not what's happening, because if we go to the War Dog Sub-Commander, for example, and Prototype token, link actor data isn't enabled. This is also where we can append a number to the end of it, which is what we're doing. You'll note that when we copied all the tokens over here, they all have the same number. This is useful just to keep the squads in the group, and it's why we don't just drag out 8 from the side, because otherwise they would have massive numbers. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the standard stamina of the War Dog, and we're going to multiply it by 8. That's 32. And then we're going to set its stamina here to 32 as well. And that is the tracker for the minion health setup. So if a player says, I'm going to deal 12 damage, or let's make it a more interesting number, let's make it 7 damage to this squad, then you can do -7 in the right-click menu, and it will say, okay, 1 minion dies. Alright, so we can go and, delete a minion from our squad. If they deal another 3 damage, let's say, or even just another 1 damage, then that'll kill another minion, because that's 8 total dealt, and we can go and kill another, and so on and so forth. It's a pretty nifty little mechanic. But those are the core things to assist with minions. Now, if we want to track things such as conditions, we need to add custom conditions. Now, this is already described inside of the forum thread, but I'm going to go through it here. We're going to want to enable a module called Condition Lab and Triggerler. We're going to go to Configure Settings, and once we've done that, we're going to Condition Lab and Triggerler. And Condition Lab up here will allow us to go to System Custom and import a bunch of conditions for DrawSteel, which have already been made. I'm going to link a file for those in the description. The file's name is conditionmap.json. So we click that, we click open, and we click import, and it'll add all of these. The icons might be broken. You will need to import the icons provided in the description into a place in your user data folder, and then click on each one, go to your user data, minor in icons, conditions, and select the icon there. What we've got is we've got red icons for end of turn effects, and we've got blue icons for save ends effects, so that way we can differentiate the two. We've also got judge and mark in here, and we've got dead, unconscious, prone, the works. So once we've done that, we'll want to save the mapping, and we'll also want to make sure that remove default status effects is enabled, so we get rid of all of the vestigial 5th edition / system agnostic conditions that Foundry provides by default. In here you can also change the token effect icon size. All this does is change how many of these kind of stack upon each other before it goes to a new row. I have mine on 4x4, so you can see it would be able to fit 16 in there. You can also set it to 5x5, and then they'll get even smaller, and you can enable even more conditions on somebody. And if you're doing this to your players, I hope you have fun. Now, we've done minion health, we've done the squad rings, and we've done the conditions. Those are the pretty big ones. But we also want to be able to track malice and hero tokens. And for that, we're using a module called Party Resources. Now, it adds a bar up at the top of your screen, but it also adds a button inside of the actor's screen called Party Resources. And this will give us the space to add new resources. These will appear up along this top bar. We can click Add New Resource, and let's call this Malice 2 Electric Boogaloo. We're going to give it a default value of 0 and a minimum value of 0. We're not going to let players manage the resource, and we're not going to notify players of value changes. So we're going to create that resource now. And then we're going to hide the resource from the players because we don't want to let the players see this malice. If we want to show players malice, if you're that kind of GM, well, you can click on that and it will show it to them. And then we can use the plus and minus buttons here in order to increase and decrease it. Now, if you do add a message, then it will pop it into the chat for you all to see. So whenever I add a hero token, the players can all see that a hero token has been gained. And if I lose one, then you can see a hero token has been spent. It's pretty simple. And again, you can, instead of accessing them from up in the actors menu, you can click on them up here, and it will pop up the dialogue for you. Now, finally, the base initiative system inside of Foundry isn't really built for anything popcorn style. But thankfully, there's a subsect of people who like a specific little RPG that you may have heard of called Lancer. It's a mech action RPG. Some Lancer fans have made a module called Lancer Initiative because that game uses a similar initiative style. Thankfully, it actually functions system agnostic, and so we can use it here for DrawSteel. Now, if we use Lancer Initiative, what we can do is we can add our War Dog Subcommander groups, let's say, all of these, and we can add all of our players, so it's only going to be a couple of things here fighting. And we can right-click, and we can click Toggle Combat State, and then we can begin combat. And it's going to give them all a little arrow beside their name. So obviously we can go to our chat, and we can roll a d10 to see who goes first. It's a 7. The heroes are going to go first. And then so the heroes can pick which one of us wants to go. And so they will click whichever one wants to go. They're going to click a little blue arrow. Let's say Ricky wants to go. And it'll be their turn. And then when Ricky's turn ends, they're going to click the grey cross. And then it's the monsters go. And so the monsters are going to be able to click one of theirs and click the cross. And then you can alternate back and forth. And it's just as simple as that. Now, let's say we have a boss creature, for example, like a thorn dragon, and we want this thorn dragon to have a set of multiple turns. So what we want to do is we can add it to the initiative, and in here we can actually go add activation, and it gets 2 turns now that we can keep track of. And it's pretty much just as simple as that. It's a really, really neat little module for tracking the initiative in this kind of popcorn style, instead of doing it in a rolled style, as many other systems do. That pretty much does it for all the things that I use to run Draw Steel inside of Foundry. I hope they're useful. If you want to reach out to me about any of this and ask me any questions, then you can find me in the MCDM Discord as @ambinavy. I will be hanging around in basically all of the channels you could think to find me in. And if there's anything else that I can do, then you can reach me over there. I hope the video's been useful. I will maybe make more if I end up having more things to share, but other than that, this is just a useful tidbit to the community. I hope it's useful, and yeah, catch you later.